everyone. I'm back. I'm Clare Davis from Mental Health Chats, and I'm here to speak to Emma Dawson. Hello, Emma. How are you?
Hi, Claire. I'm good. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Really excited to be here today.
And I'm very, very excited to have you because Emma's going to progress on with the talks on menopause. And Emma works in nutrition. And what Emma's going to talk about is how nutrition affects menopause and our hormones. And I'm really pleased that Emma's here because both Lauren and Catherine mentioned as a top tip to work on your nutrition. So Emma's going to help us work out some tips on how can we work on our nutrition. So Emma, would you like to explain to everyone what you actually do?
Of course, yes. So I'm a nutritional therapist and also a nutritionist. And I help and I am very passionate about working with women who experience anxiety, hormonal imbalances, gut issues, and intimate health concerns, all of which are very much a part of peri and post-menopause, to gain wellness, confidence, energy, and to really thrive in their kind of new journey in their lives.
Okay, that's really interesting. So why do you do what you do? Why are you so passionate about what you do?
I absolutely love supporting women who are struggling a little bit, and so that they can get all of the support that they need and access all of the nutritional value that they need to absolutely feel amazing again. There's no need for us in our late 40s and 50s to feel less than we did in our 20s and 30s. In fact, we should feel more because we've got all of that huge life experience with us. And, you know, we know a lot of what we need physically. We just need expert support from people while we're going through that huge hormonal change so we can adapt.
Yeah, that is so true because we are all going through hormonal changes at certain times of our lives. And, you know, throughout our whole lives, our hormones do change. And if we can get some help with our nutrition, it's going to help us in the long term. So can I just ask you, nutrition, so many people say look after what you eat, make sure you're eating correctly, and it's going to help you get through menopause much more easily and help you with your hormone balance. So can you tell us, how does nutrition help us through menopause and through with our hormones?
So in many different ways, nutrition can support us. And I will say, as a caveat, we're all different, we're all individuals, so we'll have specific needs. However, firstly and foremostly, it's really important for us to balance our sugar levels in our bloodstream in menopause. So we don't want to be going through that kind of like energy ups and downs in the day because we're reaching for the caffeine, the kind of strong coffees, the biscuits, the cakes, you know, even the kind of smoothies and bananas can aggravate our blood sugar levels. So instead of that, we want to be having snacking on nuts and seeds, berries, foods that are full of different nutrients to support us whilst our hormones are adapting and changing.
Yeah, so you mentioned nuts and seeds, berries. So
Mm-hmm.
what other top tips do you have of foods that do help our nutrition through menopause and hormone changes?
So foods that contain estrogen, so we can get estrogen's our key female hormone that starts to decrease in menopause, and estrogen has a relationship with our happy hormone serotonin. So as we lose our estrogen, we can start feeling more anxious because we're not, estrogen helps to stimulate our happy hormone serotonin. So eating foods that contain plant estrogens is a really nice way of balancing, of giving us some natural estrogen on a lower level than the estrogen that we produce ourselves. So plant estrogen foods, soy is a big one. So tofu, Tempeh, less well known. It's a fermented soy and has got quite a tangy taste. And then things like soy yogurt, and also flax seeds. So flax seeds are a super easy seed to include in our diets because we can buy them already ground or grind them ourselves for additional benefits. And having 1 or 2 heaped spoons of flax seeds in our breakfast cereal, or sprinkled on some salad, or a stir fry after we've taken it off the heat, is the super easy option to support our plant estrogen levels, and so our balancing in menopause.
Okay, so you say to support our plant estrogen, but sort of how much should we be having? We don't want to overload and suddenly have loads of soy or flaxseed, etc. So what should we be? How much should we be including?
Absolutely, that's a good point. So flax seeds, I would have a kind of a heaped tablespoon a day. For some people 2 heaped tablespoons, but I would, for the purpose of this session, I would say a kind of a heaped tablespoon a day. Soy, if somebody's already eating soy and that's something that they find easy to digest, then 2 or 3 times a week potentially. If somebody isn't and they don't like it, then alternatives are lentils and chickpeas. So having some hummus could be a super easy way. And it's good to think about having some level of plant estrogen every day, but even things like apples have got much lower levels of plant estrogens in them. And even things like looking at your spices, and spices like fenugreek contain plant estrogens.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I've never heard of that spice before. So what sort of food would you add fenugreek to?
I guess to kind of curries and to spicy things.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to look at the spelling of that. How do you spell that?
Okay, so I can FENUGREEK.
Okay, fenugreek, lovely. And so you're talking a lot about soy and estrogen. What else can we do for our nutrition to help us through menopause and hormone change?
So the other key, I guess my third key tip is having foods that to support you to detox and to process your hormones. People don't really realize that when we have hormones in our bodies like estrogen, we have to detoxify it and get rid of it. And the most important nutrients to help us to do that are proteins and also B vitamins. So lots of leafy green vegetables like broccoli. I mean, I think broccoli is quite well known to help support female hormones for some people anyway. So having kind of broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, any of those greens. And I would actually say to all women in menopause, and actually before menopause, having 1 handful a day of leafy greens like broccoli is a super tip.
Brilliant, excellent. So I'm just thinking about all the foods that I eat, and I'm feeling like I'm quite balanced. I'm going to add a little bit more soy, I think. And one of the other tips that both Lauren and Catherine mentioned were to drink lots of water. So what's your suggestion on the hydration side of things?
So I guess my kind of 4th tip was going to be swapping coffee, if people are coffee drinkers, and lots of us are, for green tea, because green tea itself is massively supportive to how we process our female hormones safely. It's really, really nourishing tea as a herb. So swapping caffeine, I mean, it has got caffeine in it, green tea, but it's also got other chemicals that support us to feel less anxious, and anxiety is a big symptom of menopause.
Okay.
So green tea, and in terms of water and hydration, about 2 litres of liquid a day, plus any extra if you're going to the gym and sweating. But that includes green tea, and any other liquids other than coffee and obviously booze, if somebody's drinking alcohol, which isn't something that's really good for menopause, obviously, is good. But as you increase your vegetables and your fruit, eating vegetables and fruit is also a really good way of supporting hydration. The body finds it easier to absorb water that's in food than water that we drink.
So that's interesting that you say 2 litres of liquids, because I always hear 2 litres of water. So those liquids can include green tea, herbal teas, a cup of tea, obviously not soft drinks. You can say soft drinks, would you?
No, I would include juice in that. Some people would say tea is a bit of a diuretic, so not to include black tea in that.
Okay.
There is a danger, I think, sometimes of people drinking too much liquid, and one thing to avoid is having lots and lots of liquid when you're eating your main meal.
Right.
Because that kind of we produce all of these amazing digestive juices to help us break down the foods that we eat. And as we're kind of hitting menopause, our guts are under more stress as they're adapting to our change. So we don't want to make it harder for them to absorb foods. We absolutely want as many nutrients as we can get to support ourselves in our change. So drinking like a pint of water alongside a main meal is not such a good idea.
Wow, you've given so many tips there. So thank you very much. I think you've given, we could talk all day on this with loads and loads of tips. So Emma, you're obviously on LinkedIn, so I'll put the link to your LinkedIn in the description so people can contact you if they have any questions. And thank you for all of those tips. You've been amazing. So Emma is our 3rd speaker on menopause. So Benny is back next week, and Benny said he's really interested in doing this topic so that he can understand work colleagues and his partner, etc., going through menopause, because menopause affects so many people in our lives. It doesn't just affect the female who's going through the menopause and the hormone changes, but it's all the people around her as well. So thank you, Emma, and I look forward to speaking to Benny next time. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.